Hello fellow gamers, my name's Peter, I'm also known as Universal Head, and this is the Esoteric Order of Gamers. I'm going to show you another Games Workshop product today. Now Games Workshop has been very generous lately and has been sending me lots of goodies to check out and show you. Now I do want to make it clear, however, even though they're sending me free product, all my opinions are my own. I'm very enthusiastic about all types of games. I love them, and I love Games Workshop games. I've been playing them since I bought my first White Dwarf issue back in 1978. So I've been supporting them for a long time. Now, I don't play Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000 exclusively by any means. I rarely play them, in fact, because I have so many games and I love them all, and I play different types of miniatures games all the time. So I'm a casual player. So you won't get a very deep dive into the meta of these games from me, but you will get an enthusiastic overview of these new products that are being sent to me. I'll show you what they're like, I'll build the miniatures and show you what they're like, talk about them. If they're new rules, I'll talk about the rules. So today I'm going to be looking at Echoes of Doom. This is the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar starter set. It's got Sylvaneth and Skaven inside it. Interesting armies, I haven't seen those two for a while, especially the Skaven. And this is one of the good things about getting freebies, is that I get to explore aspects of the Warhammer hobby that I wouldn't normally explore. And these two armies, not something I normally go for, but the models actually look really good. So let's have a look inside the box, see what you get, and then I'll build the models and show you them in all their glory. Okay, let's open it up. So of course, heaps and heaps of plastic in the top here. We have a number of sprues. And I won't bother you showing these in detail because you'll see them when they're all built. But this is how much we have. Quite a lot here. Now there is a total of, how many models do we have in here? We have 42 miniatures in total, 10 Sylvaneth models and 32 Skaven models. So that gives you an idea of the strength per model for these two armies. Lovely piece of artwork there, just protecting things. Whole heap of bases. Got some large bases as well. And they're down the bottom of the box. They're hard to get out. I haven't got any fingernails. Right, here's another one. Right, bases. Wow, they're just, you can't pick them up. Sorry to subject you to that. Right, we've got stuff in here. Here's the core rules book, of course. We've seen this a few times before, the little Warhammer core rules book, which is a very handy, lovely sized book and has got all the rules in it. You've seen those before. Then in here we have a nice selection of war scrolls, as you can see. Got, oh look, this grey seer one. This is on the Screaming Bell. So this is Skaven on Screaming Bell. You can see it's a little fold-out one. That's how many rules this one has. Wow. That's pretty impressive number of special abilities there for that particular unit. Another fold-out one. This is the Spirit of Durthu, which is this Sylvaneth thing. Check it out. And that's all its rules. There are a lot of artwork there. I haven't seen this before, these fold-out war scrolls, they're quite cool. We've got the Storm Vermin, the Clan Rats, the Death Master, the Gossamed Archers, Kurnoth Hunters, and the Lady of Vines. Here's our construction book for putting it all together. Usual instructions, etc. Got a sheet of counters. And then the Echoes of Doom campaign book. Let's have a look at this. Great picture this, isn't it? This huge Sylvaneth thing with this little Skaven here about to get stabbed. Great scale there. Now, this is the story of Skritat, who is a Skaven grey seer, who decides to attack the heart of the Sylvaneth lands on a raid. So he takes his little force and does that to Neos, at the heart of the Everspring Swathe, and has a successful raid. And then the rest of the story, or this whole story of this campaign, is about the Sylvaneth getting together in a little band and going back to the bright lands of Akshi to get revenge on the Skaven for attacking them. So you've got a few battle plans that go through that story, and the forces in this particular box represent that story. The warband is led by the Lady of Vines, who is in this set, and as I said, they go to the Realm of Fire to track down the Skaven and get vengeance. So you've got a history here of the Sylvaneth, a bit of information about them. There's that great picture again. A bit of information about the forces in the set: the Lady of Vines, the Gossamed Archers, the Kurnoth Hunters, and the Spirits of Durthu. And then the Skaven: Deathmasters, Clan Rats, Storm Vermin. Here we can see them. This is the Lady of Vines, who is a demigod Sylvaneth. Fantastic looking model. These lovely Gossamed Archers. Here are Kurnoth Hunters. And the Spirit of Durthu, which looks like a beautiful model. Isn't that fantastic? And here we've got the Deathmaster and the Grey Seer himself, who comes in on the Screaming Bell through a Gnaw hole, which is kind of a portal. That's how he gets to attack the Sylvaneths. This is a classic old model. I think this one's been around for a while, but fantastic model. And of course your Clan Rats. Look at that. Then we get on to the realm rules, and of course this is all about the narrative play. So there's information about playing in the particular environments that we've got here. There's some tunnels in the first one, then they go up onto the mountain peaks. So this is the series here. So the first game is about going down into the cramped winding tunnels of Chakrik's Folly, which is where they pursue the Skaven. And that's the game, the Descent. Then it goes up onto the peaks in the mountains, number 2. And Reclamation, that's amidst the endless scaffolds and sparking warp engines of Chakrik's Folly. They finally run their quarry to ground. So 3 battle plans there to recreate that story. And then of course you've got your war scrolls for the units in the box. It's the Spirit of Durthu, very impressive. It's got different damage depending on how many wounds it's suffered. So it looks like, oh wow, Guardian Sword, D6 wounds, D3 wounds, massive impaling talons. Oh, great stuff. Here's your Grey Seer on your Screaming Bell. He's sitting on top of the Screaming Bell there. Again, different damage depending on wounds suffered. And your pitch battle profiles at the end. So yeah, a nice little campaign book just to play this particular encounter between the Sylvaneth and Skaven. It's very nice. Okay, I've got a pile of plastic to put together, so I'll get to it and then I'll show you the models in this set all built. And here we have it, all the miniatures from Echoes of Doom built. Well, not all built. As you can see, the Grey Seer on Screaming Bell, I haven't put him together completely yet. And the reason is I want to paint all these little sub-assemblies because, as you can see, it's quite a detailed model and the bits go in between there and it's all just fallen over. But I've got to do the bell separately and the inside of the bell, the clapper, the warpstone ball. Here's the Grey Seer himself and all the wheels, etc. So it's quite a bit that has to be done separately. So I won't build you that one, but you can see how it looks online. Everything else I've built, and they're very, very nice miniatures indeed. There we have the Spirit of Durthu. Very impressive indeed. Lovely size, very dynamic. There's so much detail in these Sylvaneth models, it's just crazy. It's the kind of paint job I would definitely want to do with contrast paints because it would just flow into all those nooks and crannies and make it a lot easier to paint. Trying to do this by hand with just normal paint would be very time consuming. Depends how much time you want to spend on your models, of course. Then we have the Kurnoth Hunters. And again, these are lovely. Another thing you might want to take into account when you're painting these is that they have these kind of pieces inside their chest cavities, which presumably are their life spring or something or other. If you want to paint that carefully, you'd want to do that separately before you put them inside the chest cavities. I don't really worry about that kind of thing. I'll paint it all in one go. But as you can see, these are very impressive and dynamic models. These models are new, the Gossamer Archers. And they actually have a special coherency rule. They can stay 2 inches apart instead of 1 inch. And you can see why with these big wings. They're a bit difficult to get the bases close together. They're very nice indeed. As you can see, very fragile looking. Difficult to store. So many miniatures these days from Games Workshop have so much detail. You really have to be careful. And the one thing I've been finding lately is that you have to be careful when you get them off the sprue. When you clip them off, some of the pieces are so fragile you can damage them before you get them off the sprue. So be careful. Make sure you've got a very sharp pair of clippers and a sharp scalpel when you're getting them off the sprue, or you can damage them. But very dynamic looking designs there. Here's the Lady of Vines, and look at that. You can just feel those vine limbs just whipping out to attack the enemy. Really lovely stuff. This again is a new model. She's got a spear there as well. Very impressive skirt of leaves trailing out behind here. It's quite amazing, this model. Again, a bear to store. I mean, very, very difficult. I magnetize all my models and store them in drawers and things like that. I find it's the only way to store them these days. I mean, imagine trying to put this into a box with foam or something. It would be a disaster. So while it looks amazing on the tabletop and it's a beautiful model, they do take up a lot of space to store and can be quite fragile. So you've got to be careful when you're picking this up. Make sure you, with all models these days, you've got to make sure you've got to find a point to pick them up that's safe. You don't want to pick them up by these fragile bits at the end. This model's the only new one for the Skaven. It's the Deathmaster Assassin, and he's very nice, just sitting there looming over the battlefield on that piece of stone. Of course, all the war scrolls for these units have been updated. They have new abilities and things. I was very interested to see, looking through some of the new battle tomes for the Nighthaunts and Daughters of Cain, that so much has changed, especially the Nighthaunts, which was the one that I was familiar with. They really do update those war scrolls quite a lot each time. Here's a unit of 10 spiky storm vermin. Up the front we've got our champion and our musician banging a drum and the standard bearer. And then a bunch of guys with very sharp looking pointy sticks. Lovely models these, just classic Skaven, very easy to put together and very sharp and spiky looking. And finally, a 20 strong unit of clan rats. At the front here we've got our champion. He's got that crest on his helmet. The musician, guy with the bell, and our standard bearer. And then a bunch of clan rats with spears. And they're all different spears. Everything looks a little bit different. They're holding it in different ways. It gives the unit a lot of variety. A lot of visual difference between the models, even though they're all very similar and easy models to make. Just a body and a shield and a weapon arm. Super easy to put together. Well, there you have it, folks. The Echoes of Doom set for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Lots here for Sylvaneth players. You get those 2 different new units, the Lady of Vines and the Gossamer Archers. Skaven not so much, just the Deathmaster is the new figure. And also there's a lot more here for Sylvaneth players. 1,185 points, whereas the Skaven only have 700 points. Still, a very nice set and a nice little campaign book with a good little story to bring these 2 different forces together. Hope you've enjoyed this look at the Echoes of Doom set. This is the Esoteric Order of Gamers. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the website. There's heaps and heaps to see there, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.